Welcome back to the podcast. That's my intro. I'm sticking to it. You heard it here. Dot, pause, dot, dot. Switched it up that time, eventually. The pause after the first one. I've confirmed it. It's there. And it's staying there.
God. Literally last week. The intro. We love it. Let's use it every single time.
Dot, dot, pause,
Now let's
dot.
change it. No, let's
Oh,
change
pause,
it.
dot, dot. Listen,
Yeah.
the pause goes where it wants to go. I don't dictate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Valid.
But yeah, we got a super action-packed, fun episode today. You'll never guess what we're gonna talk about. It's gaming, it's movies, and it's TV shows. There you go.
And manga.
Yep, that too. Big titty of the week. Yours is gonna maybe we end with big titty because yours is gonna take a long time.
Why don't you just do your update?
Oh,
Your minor update.
One Piece Odyssey update. I've finished Alabasta. I've finished Water 7. I finished Marineford. It's okay. My dick or my what's
My
the
dick.
word? Not that. I was gonna say my dictation, but that's not the right word. My overall opinion on it is wait for a sale, and it'll be a fun time. I just think like it's so weird that Alabasta was 12 hours and Marineford was less than an hour. And yeah,
You know, I was thinking about that last night when you were talking about it on your stream. Because it almost, I honestly don't think this is the case, but doesn't it feel kind of like they just made this game chronologically and then toward the end they ran out of steam or they ran out of money or something?
I think I think like they wanted to make every arc that long and then they were like, we got to get this out.
Yeah, playtesters were like, "Wait, this is the gameplay and you're making it this long?" No, I don't think gamers will go for that.
Yeah, but I wish that they would have gone back, shortened Alabasta, and just made everything like 4 hours maybe. One stream for me. One stream per world. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
I just think
I
like
think that'd be balanced.
It's
That'd be
also
fine.
so weird that there are side quests in Alabasta or in Marineford. What do I do? I go back there in the middle of a battlefield that I just escaped barely with my life. Like I didn't beat the enemy at the end like I beat the enemies in the other two. So I go back there and then what? Does Whitebeard give me a quest? If he does, that'd be cool. But it's like, is he going to? Probably not.
Yeah,
So,
I wonder if it's going to be like some upgrade to Lim's like Memoria abilities and she can get you in like undetected.
Yeah.
And you just kind of go in incognitus.
Also, I've
and
been
walk
to
around to
Alabasta
people.
for a third time now.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know why
But
they
no,
focus so hard on Alabasta.
That's it. Well, one, it is an optional thing, and two, it was like only a minute, if that. It was for a side quest in Water 7, and she was like, "I need some perfume," and they're like, "Let's go to the perfume store in Alabasta." But
Oh,
it's
that's
also
why
like,
that store exists? Okay.
yeah. Well, you need it for another quest in Alabasta too, but then there's another quest in Water 7. But it's just like, I just don't get how it works. How am I? Because then the lady in Alabasta was like, "I'll give it to you for free because this will build a relationship." It's like that. You're in this memory, you're not real. They're in this memory, you're not real. Why am I bringing your not real perfume to this not real world? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Unless they're making it like an alternate dimension where it is real.
Yeah.
But like that'd be so dumb.
Which, if
Another
that's
thing
the
I was
case,
thinking,
I really think they should have had Luffy save Ace this time. Like, sort of like I finally got strong enough to protect you, type thing. It would have been like, I don't know. It would have been cool, like full closure for Luffy.
especially because I think like current day Luffy probably could hold his own against any emperor.
Yeah.
Including Magma Boy, Magma Brat.
But that's the thing is like, yeah, like they did power up. So like Rob Lucci powers up in his fight. He powered up. Crocodile powered up in his fight. Like they're all stronger, but still, I don't know.
Yeah, but their power up is just the green electricity, as if they went Super Saiyan 2.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Which those fights are probably like, I don't know, they're kind of tough. But like if you use any items, they're fine. Like you just lower their defense, I feel like. Or lower their
I started using trick balls because you mentioned that you use them against Crocodile.
Yeah.
It wasn't that tough. The weirdest thing was just, I don't know why, but I was focused on his stupid sand tornadoes.
Oh.
And they do like no damage. So I don't know why I even focus on them. But Zoro, one of my biggest hitters. And I was thinking I was thinking something else about that too. Kind of in the manga right now, there's like there's hints that there's big things involving Alabasta, like spoiler alert for the manga. Uh for like 2 minutes. Vivi's captured or
Cobra's
something, right?
dead.
I can't and Cobra died.
Yeah.
So Alabasta seems to be like a key player. So maybe Oda was like, well, Alabasta's coming back. And then the team was like, well, let's run with that shit.
Yeah.
And they made 12 hours of Alabasta so people like feel more connected to Alabasta after 20 years of never setting
That's
foot
true.
there in the series and stuff. But I don't think that this game was the way to connect,
But
the
yeah,
fans
also I
to
think
that
like
land.
Alabasta could very easily just be like a reverie thing where most of it happens off screen.
Yeah, of course. I'm
So
sure most of it will. I'm
like
sure most of it
I
will.
doubt Luffy himself or like any of the Straw Hats themselves go back there.
Yeah, I don't. Well, yeah, I don't think so either. Because why the fuck would they?
Yeah.
Like, we haven't seen them go back to a place ever.
Yeah.
So why would they go backward? Their journey is ever onward.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they'll end up in Mary Hoas or Mary Joas, whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
because I mean the only way they go back is if they just spin in a circle, I feel like. With how One Piece ends, who knows? I just don't know. I just don't want Luffy to end up on the execution stand.
yeah, yeah, agreed. Although, I mean, like, I don't think they even could execute him. I don't know. It seems pretty weird.
Yeah.
It would be cool to see some Joy Boy shit
Mm-hmm.
and find out how
Also,
close they really are.
I think the anime is coming up right there, like in an
Yeah,
episode or two. Like there's an
yeah.
episode coming out tonight. It might be tonight's episode. I don't know.
Mm, I don't think so. Maybe I missed last
I
week's,
saw
but
some Joy Boy thing on TikTok, and I was like, well, why would these people be? Oh, because I saw Pei, or no, that's not his name. The not Pei, the one who captured
Page
the fruit.
6.
No, the one who captured the fruit originally, the saber
Oh, the
tooth
dude
guy.
who's fighting Jinbei.
Yeah, he
Hoo hoo.
mentioned.
Hoo hoo.
Yeah, he mentioned. I saw on TikTok. Where he's like just name drops the sun god. So I
Hmm.
figured they're very close.
Well, that just happens during the fight with Jinbei. That fight's over the
Oh,
anime. So that happened weeks
oh.
ago.
Um,
But
but yeah, they're probably
um
very close to that.
yeah, no, they are. They're close. They're for sure close. I don't want to do another spoiler alert thing for the anime or anything, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be, I would say, definitely within a month. I don't know, like their actual schedule for releases and stuff, but definitely I'm confident within the next 2 months it happens, and it's
Yeah.
gonna like not break the internet because anime is not that popular, but
It'll break
uh,
the anime side of the internet.
it'll break the anime side of the internet for sure, especially anyone who's not doesn't read the manga and doesn't know it's coming.
Yeah, like I didn't read it at that point when it happened. That's what caused me to read the manga. And I don't know how you avoid spoilers on that, but props to them if they avoid it. I feel like I see that everywhere. Maybe it's because I'm on One Piece Twitter now, but
Well, yeah, it's because you look at that stuff and then algorithms just keep showing you more and more of it. Eventually, it's gonna start showing you all the stuff that's spoilers.
yeah.
And then my only other thing back to the game is like, how did Oda ever allow Usopp to be so
He is
goddamn good
OP. Him
in this
and
game?
Nami. Both of them.
At my stage in the game, Nami's not that great yet, but she's the only one who starts with a
Yeah.
field wide attack, which is why I use her. And it paralyzes people sometimes.
Yeah.
Usopp I mean, he can attack any zone at will, and his attacks do buttloads of damage. He one shots almost everybody, even without a crit.
I know.
Who
It's
let that
crazy.
happen? I don't understand it.
I
And
also
I gave him the best like defensive thing, so
mhm,
he also takes 1 damage from every single attack for me.
dang.
Why would I ever put anyone else into the fucking fight?
Yeah. Um I also I don't know, like going back to Marineford and memories are fuzzy and stuff. Like I just think it's so weird that in Ennie's lobby, yeah, memories are fuzzy, but how do you take out the biggest part of that arc and they don't declare war on the world government? There's no burning of the flag scene at all.
Is it
'Cause
even Sniper King? How does
no,
that play out?
he doesn't show up. Basically, instead of Robin and Usopp being taken away, Usopp or Robin and Frankie being taken away, Usopp and Frankie get taken away. And so you never like get a scene with them coming back. You basically crash the Rocket Man ship into the bottom of Ennie's lobby, and then you just take stairs up basically.
They're doing this they're doing this as if we've played a bunch of games where we've played the real story of One Piece or something.
Yeah.
What? No game like that exists. Give us the real story. I mean, even if you're a fan of the series, I'm sure replaying things from like 20 years ago would be fun and
Yeah.
enjoyable.
I also
Like,
like I guess they do sort of with the grand logs. I haven't watched a single one, so I don't know how in depth they go, but they give it to you a little bit, but yeah, it's like if this was someone's first experience to One Piece, it is not an experience to One Piece.
it's not like, yeah, it's not selling you on the series, I don't think, which
Yeah.
is a shame. I really think their main drawback is just using JRPG staples. I've said it, I think the last two podcasts I said it.
Yeah.
Using JRPG staples from like a decade ago.
Yeah.
Don't put any of that garbage in the game. Games have evolved beyond this random bullshit stuff. So go with the good stuff. Copy the good stuff, you know?
Like as a
Just
start, it's a fine game. Like as a start of maybe I don't know who did this game, like Studio. It's a fine start if this is your first game ever. But if there's a sequel, I think it definitely needs to be improved upon.
well, they need to bring in some actual JRPG team like
Yeah.
designers into the thing so that they can just axe all these weird, dumb aspects.
Like if we're talking out of 10, I think being nice, a 7 is nice.
Hmm. Yeah, I probably wouldn't even be that lenient on it because
Yeah.
the things that annoy me really just grind into me. So
Yeah. Well, you've been doing this for like 4 streams now, right? Still in Alabasta.
yeah,
Or
because
you just
I'm well.
finished.
Your first, it helped that your like first two, or at least first stream with the game was like 10
Yeah.
hours long.
Yeah.
So you got through a huge chunk of this like horrible beginning stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that helped.
Wait, I thought of something else I wanted to say. Now I can't remember. Alabasta. Is it Alabasta? Fuck. I don't remember. God damn it. It was something. Something good. Something juicy. And now you're all
We
gonna
can
miss
just
it.
come back.
Yeah, you're all gonna miss out on it. But yeah, that's my slight One Piece Odyssey update. It's fine.
Hmm. Um. All right. So sticking in that world, I'll just do my convince me real quick. Black Clover. I read. I mean, I don't even really have to convince him. This is more for anyone else that's listening that might be dabbling with manga. Let me tell you something. Black Clover is a great manga to read and just have fun with. The art is shockingly good.
Really? Because that's my
Shockingly
main.
good.
I think that is my biggest thing when reading it. Because the story could be amazing, but if the art's, it's like I'll just wait for the anime then. So if
When
this,
when this mangaka does like the huge panels with the detailed like full face images,
mm-hmm.
out of this world. His introduction to characters and stuff, and you know what? Honestly, and I think I said this in the last podcast too, the fan service is actually stronger in the manga than it is in the anime, which is shocking. I mean, nothing gets bigger than fan service in this One Piece Odyssey game. I
Oh
can't
yeah.
imagine they could even make boobs bigger and still show the characters' faces. But like this guy gets very detailed with like the way that clothes would cling to the body and where like it'd be like too tight so it'd be rolling over, not in the bad way of like just a really like fat guy, like a Peter Griffin kind of fold situation.
mm-hmm.
You know, like Vanessa, who's constantly in just a bra and panties, Noelle, who's, and it's weird because these characters are like supposed to be 15 or something.
Yeah, it is
But
very weird.
the manga does do a couple of times. I mean, in the anime, we saw a time skip of 6 months, but there's another time skip in the manga that's over a year.
Oh,
So it brings
cool.
the characters up to 18 years old. Um, but yeah, like honestly, and the battles are actually I don't know if they're necessarily like the easiest in the world to follow because I think manga battles are always really tough to follow if you're not
Yeah.
looking really closely at a lot of things. And if you don't have the physical print in front of you, so you don't, or if you turn your tablet to the side to see it all at once, kind of thing. But they are it's easier to follow, I think, than like One Piece, for example.
Gotcha.
One Piece, all the moves are so crazy now. You never like people are jumping through the sky. All you can see is little puffs of like cloud from where they're kicking off of, and
Mm-hmm.
like if someone actually attacks someone, usually you like sometimes you just see the after effects. In this one, they get in this in this in this manga, it's easy to follow these battles and just the stories out of this world.
Did it pass? What was your top before? Because like if we're talking like new shonen, you got like or old shonen's Bleach, Naruto, One Piece. New shonen's probably like Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover, and maybe like, well, Demon Slayer's over, but maybe Demon Slayer when it was going on.
As far as manga and enjoyment with it, I think I would go Black Clover over Jujutsu Kaisen. Anime Jujutsu Kaisen wins
Oh, okay.
because I think just the world is more engaging. Black Clover is basically straight fantasy. People get magic. People are using it, like swords and things like that. Jujutsu Kaisen, it's magic, but like explained
Yeah.
much better. The limits are much easier to understand. Like there's actual limits to people's abilities and drawbacks, and it's more balanced. So the world building in that one is better. I think in Black Clover, just it goes for a cool factor that just keeps ramping up. You
Mm-hmm.
just go higher and higher and higher and higher. There's no real down.
Yeah.
Jujutsu Kaisen, they do balancing acts, and sometimes you see a glimpse of like Sukuna's power or something. You don't know how real powerful he really is, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Black Clover is just their story, the way that the characters like grow and stuff. Honestly, and I shit you not, I was reading it last night. It was like the end of one of the major arcs, the arc that was started in the anime. Now that they paused the conclusion of it,
Mm-hmm.
I teared up like 4 times
Wow.
just from like just feel good moments too. Not
Mm-hmm.
even sad moments, like feel good moments, like badass, like holy shit, yeah, there they are, like there he is, he came to save the day, kind of thing.
Dang.
So I cannot recommend it higher. I'm glad that I started with it, and then I think next I'm gonna do Chainsaw Man, and then I'm gonna go to your Tokyo Ghoul
Yep.
recommendation.
Chainsaw Man is like real good right now. I'm really enjoying part two or whatever they're calling it. I don't know if the first part's one arc or whatever, but part two is very good right now. I'm really
Mm.
enjoying it.
The only problem I have with Black Clover right now is this ending seems to really be going off the rails. Like it's
Is this
going,
its final arc?
yeah. I mean, it started with after the end of this last arc that started in the anime. The panel just says final arc.
Oh, okay.
So it just the beginning of it just says final arc and starts going into it, and that's when they do the time skip over a year and 3 months or something like that.
Gotcha.
But crazy shit happens right away, and it kind of delves back into the old well. I mean, the mangaka is staying true to the rules that were set up within the world and some of the things that we're already familiar with. There's a little bit of power scaling that's difficult to understand, and they might clear up later on. But they introduced like their own version of hockey, kind of came into it. Um, and I don't know. It seems to be like the main big bad of the series. We know who that is now. It's a little bit. It's the same issue I had with slime, where you don't know how powerful someone is. It's impossible to tell how powerful these people really are.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wish there was a little bit more of a clear delineation. The big bad of the last arc, so the second to last arc, it was very obvious when he appeared or when they appeared. I don't know if it's even a gender. Um, that way beyond the abilities of anyone that we knew, basically, like as far as just raw power and ability.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's so hard to tell with this last big bad if there are even any limits to him and some of the powers that he just or that they just have naturally.
Mm-hmm.
No explanation yet, but I did catch up. I read, I swear, I think 250 issues in 3 days. So
That's crazy.
I was powering through it. I did not want to stop. I didn't want to fall asleep. This manga might be the best one I've ever read where it comes to leaving you with cliffhangers where you just want to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to go to the next issue. This might be like the best one. Every single issue ended in a way where I was like, I have to see what happens next. So
Dang.
I had to keep
All
going.
right. Maybe I'll do it next. We'll see. I'm like 100 chapters out of Tokyo Ghoul, I think.
How many total is it?
I think they're both around 170.
Okay, so about as long as Black Clover. Black Clover is currently 368.
Yeah. Let me see. I know Tokyo Ghoul Jack, which you read in between Tokyo Ghoul and Tokyo Ghoul Re, is like 7. So yeah, the first Tokyo Ghoul is 144, then you got 7, and then you got 179.
Yeah, so over 300.
Yeah.
Not longer than Black Clover, but about equal to it so far. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. But I would rank for the manga, I would rank it above Jujutsu Kaisen. I think they're all kind of above Demon Slayer. I really like Demon Slayer, so like it being on the bottom isn't a bad thing, but it just the worlds of Jujutsu Kaisen and Black Clover, they're just more engaging to me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what really can draw me into a series. So that's why they beat it out.
Gotcha.
Doctor Stone, I haven't read the manga of, but I've talked about how that one's just like my favorite anime, just because I really love the whole concept of the entire setup, the entire premise of the show. So
Yeah. Zach read it, the whole thing. He said it's real good. Ends real good.
Doctor Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm watching that. If I'm watching it with Karina kind of currently, I don't want to read the manga and get too far ahead because I want to be surprised, like same reactions as her, have a discussion with her as they happen,
Yeah.
as we
Plus, it's
watch
next
it.
season
So
anyway, so
yeah, what next
well,
season is what the end?
it's the next arc.
Yeah, but I don't think it's the end.
Well, I mean, if the manga's over, maybe. Who knows? Then maybe they just push it.
I know like very like a tiny bit of the story. I really don't think that it's gonna end. I think there'll
Oh,
be at least one more season after it.
yeah, I have no idea. But I
So
thought that they would do the whole freaking Bleach, and then they did 12 episodes and did a freaking break.
yeah. Huh.
Been out for how many years? Can't even do the whole freaking adaptation. Doesn't make sense.
I mean, when did they restart? Gotta go from the time of when they restarted.
Well, like, I don't know. Again, it goes back to the whole Attack on Titan thing. I get that, like, um, these studios are probably working their employees way too hard, and it's probably very hard to animate all this. Just give it
Mm.
to me when it's done. Then start it when it's over. Like
Yeah.
they announced this like in 2015. I feel like I don't know if that's actually true, but I feel like they announced that Bleach was coming back so long ago.
Yeah. I mean, then there's the COVID effect,
That is true. Yeah.
but I mean, we're over like COVID's. I mean, it's not done. COVID exists in the world. It probably like always will,
Yeah.
but there's no lockdowns really. Not too many places. I don't know how Japan is handling it. I don't know if they're also wearing masks or what they're doing, but I feel like a lot of places have just kind of gone back to business as usual, minus like corporate 5 days a week. And I mean, some businesses do it, but a
Yeah.
lot realize that if they do that, then people are like, what the fuck? For 2 years, I didn't have to do this shit. And now you're saying I have to for productivity. Did our company go under while COVID happened? No.
Yeah.
And then there's a huge backlash against it.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, is that your convince me?
Yeah, that's the end. I would honestly, this manga, 10 for 10 from start to finish. Especially because the whole reason the anime kind of starts off slow is because Asta's always like just kind of the annoying shonen character, how they
Mm-hmm.
start annoying in the beginning. But in a manga, you don't get that because it's
Yeah.
just big text. It's just big text. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's not nearly as annoying as literally you don't know,
Also, I I
you don't
think
know.
like I don't know. I think they like had to have received some backlash or something because it was bad at the beginning. Like and then it became more tolerable
Well,
as
I
the
mean,
show went on.
in the manga, he does start like that. He does start kind of like that. Maybe not to the same extent as they did in the anime, and maybe that was like I don't know some sort of weird trope at the time. But he
I,
does start a little bit annoying, and I mean not annoying. It's hard to quantify
yeah.
because definitely if you read the manga, the annoyance doesn't come through that much. And if you never saw the anime, I don't think you'd pick up on Asta being an annoying character. I think that really is just from his like hyperactivity, which is totally fine in print.
Mhm.
In like an anime, it seems a little bit over the top sometimes, but then they kind of normalize it. But it's as far as an anime adaptation, just from my memory, it is pretty damn true to form.
Yeah.
They take exact panels and animate them. They fill in like little, like obviously from point A to point B kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But big scenes, the art, the way they focus on the characters, the shot, the cinematography is basically one for one from the manga, and that's exactly what I expect and want from an anime adaptation of something.
Dang. Yeah, maybe I'll pick it up next. I don't know what else I would. Maybe Jujutsu Kaisen, but we shall see. Um, what else? Oh,
I think why don't we do the Justin Roiland thing?
yeah. So, he rightfully so, has been taken out of Rick and Morty and all of like High on Life, all um, basically everything he was involved in. they've severed ties with him due to allegations of domestic battery, false imprisonment, bunch of stuff. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if like there was some sexual assault things in there.
I mean, the extent, the I'm not really a huge fan of guilty, just assumed guilty until proven innocent. But the extent of the charges against him, I mean, they can't.
Yeah,
It's tough to imagine that the entire thing was totally bogus and made up, and
yeah.
like there was no aspect of truth to that. So yeah,
hmm Um, but yeah, so like Rick and Morty is gonna. He was Rick and Morty, so they're gonna need a new Rick and Morty. Which obviously, I mean, you can. There are impressionists on TikTok who sound literally just like Rick and Morty. Hire two of them.
can you imagine that's your big break.
I know, like that'd be awesome.
All of a sudden, you have two actors doing it, which actually one of the things I read about that early on, obviously way before all this stuff happened, was one of the reasons why Rick and Morty say each other's names so often is so that he remembers which character he's supposed to be
Oh,
like
really?
playing at the time during the line. They weren't in the script. It was just something he came up with as a way for himself to keep saying. That's why Rick is always like, "Yeah, Morty.
Yeah,
That's why Morty. We go to this place, Morty." You know, that's that stuff, and like it's become kind of iconic in the show. So they'd have to start writing that into the script if they never have been.
yeah.
But that's not that hard to do
Mm-mm.
if it's two different people now.
Um, yeah, I think I'm like 2 seasons behind or something, but I love Rick and Morty. I think it's a very funny show. Um, and I'm sure it's gonna be fine. Like I feel like it's such a big show where they're not gonna mess it up. All I hope is that it really is an impressionist. Like with
Like a
this,
not even noticeable difference is what you're saying.
almost like if it's like slightly different, I get it. Nothing's gonna sound probably like 100%, but it's not like it's live action to where we have to tell. Like I
Yeah.
think the voices are iconic, and the voices aren't tied to Justin Roiland. He maybe made them, but the voices are the characters, and I think it's fine if they sound the same.
Mm.
Um,
I mean, he was removed not only from the show, but he was also the High on Life studio. He was
yeah,
somehow
Squanch
an employee
Studios.
or like
He was a
maybe even a
CEO.
founder.
Yeah,
Oh, he was the founder. Yeah.
yeah.
And and that game is apparently really good, and I'm sure it was a lot of his creation and ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he had to step down. He resigned.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I mean, who knows how that studio will now continue?
yeah. And maybe it won't, but maybe it will. And
I haven't played High on Life yet, but if it really is as good as people say, I do hope that the studio continues because obviously he didn't go in. I seriously doubt Justin Roiland was involved in like coding
yeah,
and character design, maybe like the ideas of it, but the actual art, things like that. You know, if the people
yeah,
are that talented and it really is that good of a game, I hope that they continue, maybe not necessarily independently, but I hope that team gets to stick together
yeah,
and make more games.
yeah. That'd be cool. Um, but yeah, not too much to talk about there. Just good. He's getting replaced. Good or hopeful for the future, but obviously shit could happen.
Yeah, he's just
Um,
one person,
yeah, like he
not
can't be that
like Jeff
influential.
Bezos stepped down from Amazon. Amazon is still the number like the
Yeah,
most profitable company in the
like
world. It's
he's
not.
not out here doing everything.
Yeah, no
Um,
one person is irreplaceable,
yeah.
really, in a company like that.
What is this Ghost of Tsushima project?
Oh yeah, this is just you know what I mean. Just kind of continuing from a theme of the last couple of podcasts. I noticed just in the news, I saw that someone became attached to a Ghost of Tsushima project. I don't know which streaming service or company is making it. I assume Sony IP. Um, and I think Sucker Punch made that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sucker Punch made that one. So I actually want to talk about it for two reasons. One, all good news that there's more gaming properties that are being
Oh,
adapted.
film adaptation.
It's a film adaptation. There you go. Just all positive things that the trend is continuing. Hopefully, good people are attached and it does well, and we get more IPs. Because honestly, I think this could be a resurrection for some of these studios where they get their most recent projects in adapted, and then they start selling their catalog. I would
Yeah.
love an Infamous series.
That'd be so cool.
Love an Infamous series. Sucker Punch, same company fucking made that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I would love it. And I mean it kind of missed like the Heroes boom of like I don't know, like last decade or whatever, but it would fit right in with Marvel and other things like that. So it could be like a fresh, different take on superheroes and like a world, how a superhero world gets created. Naughty Dog with their Last of Us TV show or the HBO series that's doing apparently phenomenally well.
Yeah.
Critically received all the first 2 episodes. The second episode, I saw some headline that it broke some sort of HBO record, which in a good way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was from concurrent viewership or most same day like airing day watchers or whatever it was. But only like that's fantastic because Uncharted obviously was adapted into a movie, and hopefully you get more of those, either more movies or change it to a TV show, whatever. And that leads obviously to the mecca of all game IPs, Jak and Daxter.
Oh yeah.
Bring it back however you fucking can. All right, I don't care.
I feel like
Make
it would
a TV
only
show.
work if as an animated show.
Probably, but I mean, like you have things like The Legend of Vox Machina, which is based on Critical Role D&D session. They animated it as a Kickstarter, and it's on Prime, and it has 2 seasons now. It was super popular when it launched. It's just an animated version of their gameplay of D&D from their first season ever, and people really like that, like troupe of characters that they created. So Jak and Daxter, fine, make it animated. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't want a hyper realistic Jak and Daxter. That's not the point of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the voice actors could just come back and do the voices. I don't think any of them are really like out of the business. The guy who's Baron Praxis, for example, from Jak 2, he is Mr. Krabs. Same guy. So use him. Baron Praxis was an engaging villain. He was an engaging enemy, and he wasn't even like a super ultimate evil guy, right? Or whatever. So, whatever works. I'm just happy that these things are in the works. And then the other one that was announced, which is also just one of my favorite series, Tomb Raider. I saw immediately articles saying Alicia Vikander needs another shot at Lara Croft. I'm fine with that. I thought she did a fine job. I don't think that the Tomb Raider movie, the last movie, was like the story was very well plotted out. Personally,
I never saw it.
So yeah, I mean the first movie with Angelina Jolie was just like kind of generic action movie. It was pretty decent. It was fun for what it was. Especially at a time when not a lot of video game IPs were being adapted. It was probably like the best one that I had seen up to that point, but it's not saying all that much.
Yeah.
But to give it a real shot with some real funding, Tomb Raider is awesome. It's basically National Treasure, Uncharted, just with a female lead who is just more capable, better trained, an actual archaeologist. The actual degreed archaeologist who went through training and knows how to exhume artifacts. Not like Nathan Drake, who just randomly happens upon something and has this skill set from being just some kind of badass throughout life. So the character is awesome. So I also like that was Amazon. So if all the other rumors around like Henry Cavill are true, then hopefully he has some sort of say in it. He can play some character. I don't even care if he plays a character in it. But if he has some sort of involvement in the project, I just have more faith in it.
Yeah.
That's the Henry Cavill effect.
I'm not seeing what Ghost of Tsushima is gonna be on or like who's part of it.
Yeah, and if it's Sony's been licensing them out to just every streaming service, just kind of throwing them out. Netflix gets, or Amazon got God of War, Netflix got something else, right?
Uncharted, I think they have it.
Oh yeah, and I feel like Netflix got something else too from Sony, but I can't remember now. But yeah, they've just been kind of letting everyone have a piece of it.
Yeah. I loved Ghost of Tsushima, so I'm very excited for this. I think it's just like
I've never played it.
I have basically I rank every redeem game I play. And I think it's number 2 on the list.
What's number 1?
Nier.
Right.
Nier.
I know this one's really high. I actually thought it was number 1. I forgot Nier existed.
Yeah, but it's awesome, and I feel like, I mean, I'm just looking at reviews on Wikipedia. Everything's like 9.5, 10, 40 out of 40, 9.5, 4.5 stars, 87. Like, it's just a great game. They know they have a great IP here. I hope we get a
Mhm.
sequel, and I hope this is good. I mean, your main
Yeah.
character's freaking Zorro. Like, that's the voice actor. That already puts it above the rest.
In English?
No, in Japanese.
In Japanese? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There is no English.
No,
They just
there
speak
is.
Japanese.
But like, I think it defaults to Japanese, which is like a
Oh,
change
okay.
in the West. But there is a dub.
Yeah. Well, I mean, One Piece, for example, I don't even think has the English voices.
Yeah,
I think on
no.
the back of the box it just says Japanese voices. So
Um, but yeah. So I hope there's a sequel for this eventually. I really like the first one. I really like the DLC, and I hope this is good.
yeah, I haven't heard anything from Sucker Punch in forever. They're still
Yeah.
working on it. It's funny because the Last of Us TV show in the works, and Naughty Dog said they're done with Uncharted. I mean, they said no one knows for sure, but basically they said they're not making a new Uncharted game right
Yeah.
now, and they're focusing on Last of Us 3. Last of Us 3, I didn't realize this until today, is multiplayer focused.
There is no
So
Last of Us 3.
that they're making it. It's
No,
official. They're making it.
no. I literally like 2 days ago because my friend told me this. I just saw something with Neil Druckmann, and he was like, if we come up with a 10 out of
That's
10
for single
story,
player. That's if they're going to add a single player story to Last of Us 3. I read this article today. They are making Last of Us 3. The focus is multiplayer so that you and a friend can go through the world together.
I don't like
Well, I actually Naughty Dog is my favorite game studio, but honestly, the multiplayer stuff that they've created has not been like my favorite. I didn't like Uncharted's multiplayer. I did not like Last of Us
No, this
multiplayer.
was
I'm pretty sure
literally
is like the same.
written 2 days ago, and Neil
I'm
Druckmann
t-
said people are wondering about The Last of Us Part 3 and whether it will be a thing or not.
I'm telling you, I read it today.
I don't know. I'm just telling you what
Is
I'm seeing.
Last
Druckmann talks
and
Uncharted 5, Last of Us 3. Here we go. This is from, I don't know what website. Our process is the same thing with when we did part 2, which is if we can find a compelling story that has this universal message and statement about love, just like the first and second game did, then we will tell that story. If we can't come up with something, we have a very strong ending with part 2, and that will be the end.
that's for a single player story though. I read stuff that it's multiplayer focused.
No, it says that more updates on the multiplayer title are expected later this year. Maybe they're doing another IP multiplayer.
I think it's definitely Last of Us's
Hang on,
world.
I'm gonna control F multiplayer on this page. Oh shit. Okay, in a recent interview with BuzzFeed, Druckmann says the game studio has officially moved on from Uncharted. It will now focus on its and and it's now focus now is on the next chapter of The Last of Us, which will involve a new multiplayer game. Okay.
Thank you. Here we go. That's what I read. I think word for word. So whatever article you're on, that's what I was reading.
Okay, but right now they're focused on a multiplayer game set in that universe. We've been pretty open that the next Last of Us game is going to be this multiplayer experience where you'll be able to enter the world of Last of Us with your friend and get to experience the tension, the brutality of that world with a brand new story cast of characters that live in another city that we haven't seen yet in Last of Us. This is going to be another chapter in Last of Us world.
Yeah, so it might not be part 3
Yeah, it might be like a
if the
spin-off.
parts or
Yeah.
whatever are dealing specifically with this storyline or main, single player story that involves Ellie and stuff.
Hmm.
But there's a third game coming and it's multiplayer focused.
I just don't like Gotham Knights was such a flop.
Yeah, but I mean, like, look at the studios by comparison. I mean, I think that studio did. They had like what one? They had
Well,
one
they
of
had
the other Arkham games under their belt, and it was okay.
No, I thought they were
But
the main ones, weren't they? Or no, the main
no,
one's doing
no,
Suicide Squad. Yeah, yeah, which also
yeah,
looks very bad.
yeah, that's unfortunate.
Um,
Um, but yeah, no, I mean, Naughty Dog, have they made a bad game? Is the thing, right? The problem is I've never liked the multiplayer aspects of any of their games.
but that's the thing is we haven't like the
So
multiplayer aspect in terms of like Call of Duty, where it's literally just PvP multiplayer. If this is like multiplayer co-op, that could be cool.
just co-op different with different characters. Yeah, that I think they could execute basically flawlessly because they basically gave you that with the Last of Us games, except instead of having two controllable characters, it was one controllable character and there was a side character that just acted on their own.
Yeah,
So now it would be just two people going through the world.
yeah,
So I have hope. I would have well, I do have confidence that Naughty Dog will make a good game.
yeah.
But that is the next Last of Us. So they're continuing Last of Us. I mean, one of the things. I mean, all the things that I thought of while I was showering today. Not the naughty parts, just the good part, the gaming podcast related
The
parts.
Naughty Dog
Well, I
parts.
guess they overlap somewhat. Um, were things that I was going to pose to you questions actually, like what do you think the likelihood of us returning to Jack really is? Naughty Dog has never officially
Yeah.
said they're done with it,
I think it's
but
like probably like a 20% chance.
that's why I want a series to come out. That's why I want backlogs of IPs to be adapted for other media in some way,
Yeah.
because it might light a fire back under studios to come up with new stories set in the same world. I mean, there's so much you could tell with Jack, because I mean, the game series is fucking old. Spoiler alert if you really care. Jack, basically, like the first games take place, then he goes forward in time, and you see all these statues of this dude named Mar. And at the end of the fucking main like single player experience of the trilogy, you find out that Jack is Mar,
Yeah.
which means he has to go back in time and build the fucking city and stuff. Otherwise, there's what do they call them? Oh my god, I'm blanking on the word. Not singularity, the other thing. Um, you have discrepancies with the timeline,
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
creating like multiverses and things. So we never got to play that. I imagine we would have ended up playing that. You go back to the untamed world of Jack and Daxter Precursor Legacy, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's how the story would naturally continue. And they could, I honestly think they could do it.
Yeah.
I
That'd
think
be really
they do it. The
cool.
problem that they had when they switched to the PS3 was they were so focused on making something graphically amazing and superior that they
Yeah.
were making Jack super realistic.
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank survived. People still love that game series. It's still animated same way.
Mm-hmm.
Just go back to doing that kind of animation. Do your awesome cutscenes, your awesome stories. Just do that same art style
I
that you
also
used to do
think
with
like
Jack and Daxter.
if they do it, there needs to be a same release. Like this Last of Us multiplayer game has to come out the same year, because like I have friends who they only know Naughty Dog from Uncharted on. So if this comes out, they're gonna have these high hopes. Oh, a new Naughty Dog game's coming out, and then it's Jack 4. So like for them, it's gonna be like, oh, that's a disappointment. So I feel like there needs to be like another release that can satiate them.
I don't give a shit about them. I just want
Yeah,
more Jack and Daxter. Fuck
yeah,
them. I mean, let's face it. If it says Jack 4, you're not gonna just jump right into the goddamn game. I would hope
yeah,
not.
yeah.
You would at least look up
But did they sell
the
it
rest of the series.
entirely?
No, they didn't sell it. No, it's still their IP.
So how do they make high impact games or whatever?
People from Naughty Dog left, and I think they just gave them like creative license to use Jack
Oh,
for Lost Frontier. I don't think that they sold the IP though, because I'm pretty sure they feel like they messed up when they did it with Crash Bandicoot.
mm-hmm.
And if anything, it's probably that High Impact Games. It was still a Sony exclusive, so High
Yeah,
Impact Games was probably a Sony owned studio. So just it's still an IP that's owned by Sony, and Sony could say we're giving it back to Naughty Dog.
yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, I'd love something, Jack. It would
I
be
would love
very cool.
anything. I don't even care if it's a game at this point. I would love anything. I mean, even if they do something else like with Jack X, continue the story from like a Jack X perspective.
Yeah,
Just give me these characters back. Give me Sig back. Give me Ashlyn, Kira, Samos. Although he can't. Well, no, he can. Um, honestly, bring all the sages back. What happened to them? How come Samos is the only fucking sage in the current day?
yeah,
You know, you go forward 200 years, and all of a sudden it's just one guy who's a sage. Um, they really, honestly, they did play it fast and loose with time travel,
mm-hmm.
because like the only reason why Samos becomes a sage is because past self comes forward to tell earlier self to become a sage. But how would he ever know that initially?
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the big headache of time travel and paradoxes. Got it. Got the
That
word.
is the
It's
word.
paradoxes. All right, podcast over, everybody.
Thanks for
Um,
watching.
yeah. So yeah, you can't like all these paradoxes and stuff would probably exist in this world, but I mean, they have so much you can expand to the universe. Precursors, they come from other planets, dark makers. There's a lot of stuff you could do with it. You could
Yeah.
even just travel. You could create interstellar travel. Precursors have it. Just give it to the people of Jack and Daxter and let them go
Kira
from
can
world to
invent
world.
it probably.
Yeah, yeah, she could invent anything. But yeah, I just want that.
Yeah,
But I'll stop ranting about that now.
I'd be down with that though. What do you want to do now? We have 2 more bullet points.
How much? What time are we at? I didn't look this time, but it was
44,
probably
45.
yeah. We don't really have to do the casting and movies thing. I
Okay.
mean, We could real quick if you want. I want to make sure we get to our big titties though.
TLDR is his question is do
Does
casting
casting in movies affect your engagement or like willingness to go see a movie?
I
So
think if
thinking
it changes
things.
okay, so like let's do big examples. Ariel, Little Mermaid. Um
See, I don't have a problem with that. One of the things I was gonna say though, when
no,
you
I'm not
do
yeah, I'm
some,
not also let me clarify. I'm not saying that these are problems. I'm saying they're different from
they're different
source
from the
material
source
that
material.
people not know. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So and that one, there's multiple factors to it, and I have no problem if they cast Ariel. I mean, again, I think I talked about this before. Just giving her red hair to give her red hair and having it look not vibrant and terrible is a mistake. Make the hair look very lively and very bright underwater and stuff. That's one of the things from the movie is like really bright red hair. Or just don't color her hair. Just say she's Ariel. But I mean, now it basically changes the casting for the whole movie, right? Because King Triton kind of can't just be like this muscle bound white guy with white hair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She has like what, six or seven sisters.
She
You
does.
can
I
make
never
them
saw the
all.
movie.
You can make them so you can make them multi-racial and just give them all different nationalities and stuff. I mean, it's a fantasy thing. No, who even cares? There's so many different lines of thought you can take on something like that. Um, I was thinking about this specifically too. Like, honestly, if you were trying to think of mer people realistically through evolution, none of them would have any. They would basically all be albinos
Yeah.
because the whole reason for pigmentation is to protect you from the sun, and they're in the fucking bottom of the ocean. There's no sun. There is no Namor creating a vibranium sun, which also I seriously doubt is giving people sunburn.
Yeah.
So they would just be albino, freaky looking people. You'd probably be able to see through their skin. Be disgusting. So we don't need to go down a realism route here. So they're just, fictional creatures. So you can kind of do whatever you want with them. We were talking about in, episodes ago. As long as it doesn't become such a big sticking point that it changes the story and it kind of ruins the magic of like the first one and the feelings that you get from it. You still want to have some aspect of nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's not just done so you can kind of push an agenda, then yeah, cast whoever you want. Like
Yeah.
the other one I was thinking of was you showed me they cast two people for the Percy Jackson series, two gods. The head god is Silence from Horizon. He literally could be cast as anybody. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
He could be cast as an albino, and I would still watch that movie.
So
He's an amazing actor. He is an African American man or he's of African descent or whatever. And he's Zeus. And then there's another guy who they cast as Poseidon, who's not African.
yeah,
So, but I mean, they're
they're
gods. They
brothers.
can change their appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're brothers.
Then that's fine. Also, yeah, I'm not saying that to be like no, but okay. So I think my TLDR is if if this affects your willingness to see the movie, you're dumb. Like the fact that Ariel's not this white porcelain skin, like shut the fuck up. It doesn't matter. Uh, one that could I think be dumb is like, well, it just wouldn't make sense, right? If like this Ghost of Tsushima movie, if he's not Japanese, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, the casting thing is like just don't whitewash.
Yeah,
Like especially if it's from a source material, like from a nation or like a culture that is not like white
yeah.
historically, then don't make them white. That I think that is the you know, big thing in casting
Like if we
is not
if a
whitewashing them.
trailer comes out and Chris Pratt is Jin from Ghost of Tsushima, we got a problem.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you want to give people from that culture a chance in
Yeah,
Hollywood and like in these movies, and especially when it's so authentic culturally, the source material,
yeah.
it kind of forces you to. I mean, Disney is a unique situation where they're creating fantastical things,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, they're mostly based out of like Northern Europe's fairy tales or something like that. But they're all mythical beings,
Yeah.
basically. I mean, you have a princess that turns into a frog. You have a mer person. You have a princess with ice powers, who is basically like some sort of ice spirit. There's no
Mm-hmm.
nationalities for ice spirits.
Yeah.
They can be anything.
Yeah. So I think it's just like cast who you want to cast. Don't
I,
whitewash people. Give people a chance if their story is told specifically in a certain country or nation.
Yeah, I will say, for me, the casting will affect it, but like the way that you're saying for like Jin from Ghost of Tsushima, if you have a movie and it's set in, I don't know, Africa, like let's say Wakanda, Black Panther 3,
Mm-hmm.
and the cast is like half white people, like it's gonna be
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
So that's where it takes me out of it because I appreciate the cultural aspects of things. There is no mer people culture that we have to pull from, so who
Yeah.
cares about mermaids? Um, but I want something. If a movie is obviously not going to stay true to the source material or the cultural, like the culture that the story is based on, it is something that is a detriment to my willingness to see a movie.
Yeah.
So that is where I kind of like draw my line. Where I mean, imagine Miss Marvel, and
Yeah.
they
You got a
didn't
bunch of white
cast
people
her
around. Yeah.
as a Pakistani, the Pakistani, right?
I believe so. Yeah. That's where they
Yeah,
went. I know. So probably because
yeah.
that's
And
where
I'm pretty.
family
Yeah, that's
was.
where her family's from. I mean, there's turmoil in that region, right?
Yeah.
So like, who knows? There were two, like maybe there were a mix of cultures or whatever. But imagine it like if they just whitewashed that, it would be not nearly as good, not nearly as engaging, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. It would definitely take me out of it, especially if they then try to push it as as the powers and the artifacts and stuff originate in Pakistan, but
Yeah.
she's just some white girl or something. Like
Yeah. Like imagine
then
that
it
that
gets
bully she
weird.
saves in the first episode. If that was Miss Marvel, that would be so
Yeah,
dumb. Yeah.
yeah. The TikTok personality or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Agreed. Yeah, that's where I was going with that bullet point.
But yeah, so I guess we'll do Big Titi now. Mine's a short one.
Yeah, let's do yours.
Um, Mine's just Tobey Maguire. He's been like, listen, if they want me to pick up the Spidey suit again, I'll do it. And that's a positive because I feel like all these, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the reason that characters don't come back is probably just because yeah, the studios are kind of dumb and they don't even call them. But I'd say like a decent amount of the times, probably because the actor doesn't want to do them anymore. So it's always good to see like that
Yeah, I
Tobey
think Hugh
Maguire is
Jackman. I guess he's
yeah,
like, how am I supposed to be Wolverine? I'm old now. I can't build up this kind of muscle mass.
yeah. So like for and he's coming back I think one last time. So or he
Unless
said one
Ryan
last
Reynolds
yeah.
convinces him
He said one last time
to
in
do.
Logan. So
Yeah, but
um
The Ryan Reynolds effect. I mean, he said one last time in Logan, but he also said during interviews the only way he would reprise his role as Wolverine beyond that was if it was a movie produced and owned under the Marvel
yeah,
umbrella. So Deadpool technically is now,
yeah,
so he didn't break his word or anything like that.
yeah. So that's good. And I mean No Way Home was awesome. Tobey Maguire was awesome in it. So
I would want
everything.
his character to continue as if, like, I mean, obviously they wouldn't change No Way Home being canon. I would want his character to continue down that like development that he's done. Like he is the not the psychiatrist or like therapist for all the spider people in the universe,
Mm-hmm.
but he's the experienced guy
Why
who
yeah,
is telling you, he's helping you through your crises because he's lived through them, that kind of thing. That's
I
that's
would
the character design I like for him.
I would like to see like the first scene pre-Marvel uh title screen. Pre-Marvel title screen, you see him fade away and he's going to No Way Home, and then the title screen happens, and then he comes back right after that, and then you start the movie from there.
Hmm.
That'd be cool. I also
I mean,
I think like more so than Tobey Maguire. I know people didn't love the Andrew Garfield movies. I did. I didn't love the second one too much, but like I think Andrew Garfield's a great Spider-Man. Um, I would love to see his universe again. I want to see him like pre No Way
Dark
Home.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I want to see like him like just beating the frick out of these people and not holding
Yeah.
his punches back. Like I'd love to see that.
It's basically like seeing, I mean, not like a great comparison because people didn't really like this movie, but it's like seeing the Batman versus Superman version of Batman where he's just
Yeah.
killing people.
Yeah,
He's
I'd
like, "Oh,
love to
did
see
that
that.
car explode? Yeah, fuck them. They're dead."
Yeah.
One of his golden rules is don't kill anybody. That's why the Joker is even like a bad guy that recurs,
Mhm.
is because Batman's just unwilling to kill him, even though it would save him so much headache.
Mhm.
Uh, so seeing a version of Batman where he just didn't give a fuck. He was totally jaded to the entire world and was killing without mercy. I actually really like that, and that's kind of where we lead. That's why there's such a market and a desire for people to watch things like The Boys and
Mhm.
Invincible,
Yeah.
darker takes on superheroes because let's face it, if someone has that kind of power, it's unlikely that they're going to grow up on a farm in Kansas with the moral saint Jonathan Kent, who's going
Yeah,
to make it so that even though they could literally push the planet into the sun, they don't,
yeah.
you know?
And
So,
that's why what's it called? Injustice is such a cool comic and game.
in game, yeah. I did like the story of that. I'm not a fighting game fan, but I did play all of Injustice 1
Yeah,
and I enjoyed that story. That
super
was
cool.
well done. DC has some great stuff when they tap into the dark
Yeah, and I
version
love how the
of their
comics are
characters.
like. I think the comic there's an Injustice comic, and that is um pre the first game. So you play you read Injustice, and then you play the first game, and then you read Injustice 2, and then you play Injustice 2, and you go like the whole story through that.
Yeah.
And I think I did that, but it was pretty good. Um, and yeah, now you're a big titty.
Yeah. All right. So last topic. So my big titty is this is like doesn't even sound like a big titty, but my big titty is there's opposition to Microsoft buying Activision. There's a couple of different factors to it, but I'm personally a fan of people opposing this because it's such a huge merger. It was such a high monetary value merger, and we're probably gonna debate on this, but Activision has huge titles, which if they're somehow limited from going multi-platform, would be a hindrance to the other entities in the gaming universe. I don't think it's on par with. So a couple aspects. There's a couple of other studios that are maybe as big as Activision, publish as many things, have as many subsidiary studios. Being EA, EA's always been their main competition. If Activision comes up with a game, EA comes up with some counterpart to it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're better, sometimes they're worse. I mean, obviously, when you think of Call of Duty versus like Battlefield, there's a clear winner in
Yeah,
anyone's mind whenever hear that debate. That's one of the things that Sony is pitching to all the Department of Justice and whoever the fuck else reviews these things for anti-monopoly lawsuits.
mm-hmm.
Is that just DICE is not as good as the Call of Duty studios,
Mm-hmm.
which we both have agree on this to an extent where Call of Duty's kind of been going downhill. Maybe some of the other Activision properties have been going downhill.
Yeah.
They're not as popular as they once were. I personally think the problem with this acquisition is that if they get back on track, like let's say Microsoft gives them the right funding, the right timelines, the right extra people, those series have the name recognition where when a good game does come out, it's unstoppable. So
But
if
like
there's another Call of
for us, yeah, like it's like Sony and PC. It'd just be Microsoft and PC. Let's say like also I don't care either way. Have them buy them, have them don't buy them. I don't give a shit. Call of Duty's coming to PC. All these games, like because Spyro's also under Activision. Spyro and Crash remakes. That's Toys for Bob. That's coming to PC. So like for me and for you, it doesn't really affect us, and I think that's why I don't care too much.
yeah,
Because it's like,
I care because grand scheme of things, I don't like one entity having too much power. It's the same argument I have because Sony could buy a couple other studios and have the same monetary like influx. They could buy Valve, Steam
mhm,
catalog, you
that'd
know.
be crazy.
They could buy Epic and then they have Unreal Engine.
Yeah,
So there are some of these companies that don't even really make that many games anymore, or maybe they have like one or two big things that they're still kind of reeling on, but they have other things that give them influxes of cash. So if they bought either of those studios, it's probably even bigger, for monopolizing the industry under themselves.
mhm,
Because if you have Unreal Engine and you're unwilling to license it out to other people,
yeah. No,
whole new
no
engines have to be
games.
built
Yeah,
for tons of studios. So many studios use Unreal Engine 5. It's out of this world, to be
yeah,
honest. So they would be immediately just crazy monopoly into the market if they announced that they were going to limit the licenses that they would give for Unreal Engine and stuff. Valve, same thing. Steam is such a moneymaker that if it somehow fell under if somehow Steam was limited in an extent, obviously Steam is basically for PCs, but if it was somehow limited and maybe like Steam got like all these Sony titles and it started giving Microsoft a run for their money when it came to first party things being available on PC and how they run on PC and having Steam optimize things for PC. So there are other aspects to it. I don't like the way that I guess in general, my bigger thing is I don't like the way that the gaming landscape is becoming so condensed. All like
Mhm.
the biggest publishers are buying so many different studios. And, you know, to Sony's credit, to Microsoft's credit, they don't really meddle that often, but Naughty Dog specifically was saying things like Sony is not pushing us to release Last of Us 3. They're not pushing us to release an Uncharted 5 because Uncharted 4 was a bestseller. They're letting us do our own thing if we want. Not every studio is like that. Not every owner's like that. Sony doesn't even have to stay like that. If Sony bought a bunch of more studios, they could start pushing their agenda.
Yeah.
I like independence in the gaming landscape. That is my big thing. That's why I don't like this acquisition, because it's a big one and it sets a precedent for now Sony, Nintendo if they fucking want to, but they probably won't. But Sony and Microsoft getting into an arms race, who can buy the big publishers first? And then it becomes Sony buys EA, Microsoft buys whatever else, Sony buys whatever else. And you end up having just basically two entities in the gaming landscape. And it's
Yeah.
just a bunch of exclusives. And yeah, for us and for a lot of people out there, if you have a gaming PC, it doesn't really matter. You just need to buy a gaming PC, a Sony console, and a Nintendo console, and you have access to literally every game
Yeah.
under the sun. You don't need an Xbox. But Microsoft Game Pass is a thing, and it becomes like Game Pass. If they bought enough studios, they can make Game Pass cost like $500 a year instead of the 100 something. And then yeah, it might still be worth it, but it's a lot more of a hindrance,
Yeah.
or it's a lot bigger of an impact on your budget if you just want to play games because you like being a gamer. You know, that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I get it. I think if it starts an arms race, then yeah, this is bad. I think this purchase in and of itself isn't like, I just don't care the most about it. But if it starts like Sony buys this, Xbox buys this, Nintendo buys this, then we got a problem. But just them buying this, I don't think it's gonna affect me too much, and I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal because it's like,
Selfish.
yeah, I mean, listen,
I'm just kidding.
no, I am. I really don't care about things unless they affect me directly.
Hmm. I mean, most humans to an extent, I think, are like that. Even the
Yeah,
big activists must have some level of pettiness where if it's not bothering them, they don't care.
yeah,
It's got to be something that you're not willing to like die on your sword on for. So, I mean, I get it. I get your viewpoint. I just think I'm just it's just worried. I like that there's opposition to it
hmm,
because at the very least, it says to the industry, if you buy too much more, then yeah, you're really gonna get targeted by, you know, the entities in place that are meant to stop monopolies from existing.
yeah,
So this probably points to Microsoft, if they did have hopes for buying other studios, even if they were smaller than Activision,
hmm,
they probably have to kind of second guess it. And then to a smaller extent, it's just bad optics right now for Microsoft because in the tech industry in general, I mean, I work corporate wise in the tech industry. I think you kind of do too, technically.
a little bit.
Um, the tech industry right now is going through massive layoffs because during COVID, there was a huge boom because they were the companies best set up to work from home and they
Hmm,
were impacted the least by COVID. But now the marketplace is normalizing. We might be going into like kind of a slow kind of economy, and
hmm,
there's a lot of people unwilling to spend. So Salesforce, if you know them, they're a huge company, but they laid off like 12% of their workforce, which
yeah,
wasn't as. But then Google has laid off 12,000 people, or like however many, not even close to 12% of their workforce. But a
hmm,
lot of people lost jobs. Microsoft laid off 10,000 people. This acquisition was billions, tens of billions of dollars, 23 billion or something like that,
68
28
billion,
billion. How much?
68 billion.
68 billion.
Hmm,
If they had the 68 billion still on hand, then they don't need to lay these people off for sure.
yeah,
And then they can meet their bottom lines probably. I mean, this was a huge expenditure. So to that extent also, and that is a little bit more selfish because since I work in that industry, my company is personally not laying people off, but it's happening
yeah,
in the world and in the industry. So it really sucks for these people at Microsoft to imagine going to work, finding out you're laid off because of like corporate funding and all this other stuff and needing to meet bottom lines, and then thinking to yourself, well, they just spent $68 billion buying Activision Blizzard,
yeah,
you know. So it just is bad optics. And it's sucky. I do understand there is a difference between short term you need to meet your goals, and long term this purchase might benefit them so much in the future that it obviously be worth doing, even if it meant they had to lay people off.
Mhm.
It just sucks to have a corporate mentality like that because it
Yeah.
sucks for the people that are affected by it. So that's
When does
just
this have to be
another
finalized
reason.
by?
What is that?
When does this have to be finalized by? Like, when will we know if the opposition worked or if they
I
buy it?
think the sale goes into effect unless there's. I actually don't know all the laws that go around and if they can even like slow it down or hold it back. But I think the purchase goes through either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. So sometime in winterish, I believe I read when it first happened, because that
Gotcha.
was when the purchase would be completed, which I again also don't know exactly what goes into that.
Mhm.
But but yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's not like 5 years from now. It's definitely coming
Yeah.
soon-ish. Sony's been fighting it. I think a few other people have now also been fighting it. I read articles that, I mean, one of the articles I read was the head of Xbox thinks that the sale is definitely going to go through, like it's stronger and there's no valid arguments against it,
Mhm.
et cetera, et cetera. But obviously biased opinion there.
Yeah.
I mean, and they already bought like Bethesda, so
Mhm.
you get and I like it to an extent because I do like Game Pass, and I want Sony to have an equivalent
Mhm.
kind of service. I just don't want it to be like Game Pass has everything that used to be multi-platform come out under it, and Sony gets nothing except for their first-party properties.
Yeah.
I don't want it to get to that point, and I also don't want it to get to the point where you have to have at least one of those services to really enjoy gaming on a budget.
Yeah. That makes sense. I get it. I lean towards the side that it shouldn't happen. Like, I'm like 60% it shouldn't happen. 70% it shouldn't happen. 30%. I don't really care either way. And
Yeah,
0% I want it to happen.
yeah. When it was Sony and Microsoft buying studios like Bungie, Naughty Dog back when they first started buying studios, starting their own studios so they can have higher quality products coming out that are first party and proprietary things. I liked that.
Mhm.
But Activision, when you're buying a company that owns other companies, you're getting a huge, like, it's huge.
Yeah.
And maybe like Activision, like Blizzard, for example, World of Warcraft is only on PC already.
Mhm.
Overwatch is mainly probably played on PC. I think it's probably played mostly on PC. I'm sure it's played on other consoles the same way Apex Legends and stuff is.
Yeah.
But BRs in general seem to have most market penetration on PC. So I don't know where I was going with that, but well, Blizzard, for example, is like a big part of Activision. A lot of their games are primarily played on PC because they started as a computer only. Their games were only on computer; they weren't on consoles.
Mhm.
They've sort of moved some games to consoles. Uh, but then you have all those other, studios under it, all the Call of Duty studios. So, and I mean, and then Microsoft owning them, they can just shuffle people around. There are benefits to it. Obviously, there are benefits to it. There's different forms of government besides capitalism and separation of all these things. Then they work to some extent, all of them. Sure. None of them just like flounder right from the start and keep trying.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't know. I gassed myself out on this thing. My opinion has been stated.
Yep. Um, well, he's gassed. We got nothing left on our list. I
We
guess
both
we
got to
can.
fix our cars.
Mine's been dead for like a week and a half now.
Mine just last night. But Karina pointed out that I had left a light on because my Easy Pass. I don't know if you guys have Easy Pass.
Will iPass?
iPads, yeah, same concept. I don't even. There's probably one company, and they just rename themselves from state to state so that
Yeah.
they are a monopoly or something.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I my Easy Pass, I put it up yesterday because we got a new one, uh, and it had fallen off while we were at like the supermarket or something. So we were looking for it. I turned the light on, I put it back on, and then we left and brought the groceries in. And then we're walking the dogs later. Karina says, "Oh, your light's on." I'm like, "Oh, I'll get it when I get back." And then I messaged this guy. I'm like, "Podcast recording today," and he says, "Well, my car's dead, so we'll see." And I was like, "Holy shit!" I
Dang.
never went back out and turned the light off. So I ran downstairs, ran out, tried to start my car, it didn't start.
Yeah,
So
my door it just like wouldn't close. Like it wouldn't latch. So I called my dad and he's like, "Get a screwdriver and mess with the latch." So then I closed it and then it wouldn't open. So then And then I tried like a week or two later to start it. Because usually I just take my mom's car because our driveway is like this and she's behind me. So I usually just take her car. And then it wouldn't start. So I'm thinking the door was open, the light was on, drained my battery.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try
I don't
something.
understand. Cars have computers now. How is there not some auto turn off functionality
Well, how old
after
is
a
your
car has
car?
been shut
Maybe.
down? My car is 2019.
Oh, mine's 2008. So like mine, I
Okay,
would get
well,
why
yeah,
it doesn't
yours I
get it.
understand.
Yeah. So yeah,
Mine,
yours should.
why would it be on until the battery dies? When the battery gets to a certain level, it should just not turn that light on. It should turn it off.
Yeah.
That's the failsafe.
Yeah.
They're all controlled by computers now.
We're gonna go to the car industry next. Give them some good ideas.
Yeah, seriously, my God. We need to revamp this whole world. Just me and you. It's me and you
Mm-hmm.
against the world, buddy.
Yep. You
We
heard it here
started with
eventually.
gaming and
Podcast.
anime.
We're going.
Like,
We're gonna go to Politicon next. Have a panel over there.
yeah. I was gonna say next to the White House, the first co-presidents of the United States of
Mm-mm.
America ran on the same ballot, not vice president and president, but
Co-presidents
just both
of
presidents.
the U.S. and then co-presidents of the world.
Yeah. And then I think Emperors of the Universe is next.
Yeah.
Something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems right for us.
And if you listen to the podcast, you won't be executed. So just keep that in mind whenever we
Yeah.
become leaders of the world.
Yeah. We stick to that very strictly. Just FYI.
If you don't know, you heard it here eventually. Death by firing squad.
Yeah. Firing Squad definitely will have to have listened to it.
Yeah.
Or they'll be shaking in their boots because they'll be next.
And everyone has to read Black Clover.
Yeah, damn right, actually.
The
That's
mangaka,
actually number one.
The mangaka has to. We hold him hostage. He has to keep writing. He can never end
The
it.
series can't end.
And
Go fast forward 10 years in the future.
I want
start
7
over.
chapters a week, one a day. Get to work,
My
buddy.
God, could you imagine? His hand would just fall. His fingers would just fall off.
He'd turn into
their
a Hunter
fingers.
Hunter writer.
Break his back.
Yeah.
You sit in this chair and draw.
Well, that's gonna do it for this week, I guess.
We immediately went dictators.
Mm-hmm. Thanks everyone for listening, watching. Like the YouTube video, Apple Podcast still not up. That's okay.
I'm working on it. I'm not. I haven't really, but I'm going to. I think about it from time to time.
Yeah, that's all I ask. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening. You didn't hear it here first. You didn't hear it here last. You heard it here. Pause. Eventually.